bopping him on the head. Then the good fairy came down and said, little bunny foo-foo, I don't want to see you scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head. I'll give you one more chance. The next day, little bunny foo-foo hopping through the forest, scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head. Then the good fairy came down and said, little bunny foo-foo, I don't want to see you scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head. I'll give you 3 chances. I'm turning you into a goon. Bring it over, baby bumblebee. Won't my mama be so proud of me? I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Ouch! It stung me! I'm squishing up my baby bumblebee. Won't my mama be so proud of me? I'm squishing up my baby bumblebee. Oh, it's yucky! I'm throwing up my baby bumblebee. Won't my mama be so proud of me? I'm throwing up my baby bumblebee. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Fill it up with wood and clay, wood and clay, wood and clay. Fill it up with wood and clay, my fair lady. Wood and clay will wash away, wash away, wash away. Wood and clay will wash away, my fair lady. Fill it up with bricks and mortar, bricks and mortar, bricks and mortar. Bricks and mortar, my fair lady. Bricks and mortar will not stay, will not stay, will not stay. Bricks and mortar will not stay, my fair lady. Fill it up with iron and steel, iron and steel, iron and steel. Fill it up with iron and steel, my fair lady. Iron and steel will bend and bow, bend and bow, bend and bow. Iron and steel will bend and bow, my fair lady. Fill it up with silver and gold, silver and gold, silver and gold. Fill it up with silver and gold, my fair lady. Silver and gold be stolen away, stolen away, stolen away. Silver and gold be stolen away, my fair lady. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Ashes to ashes, we all fall down. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Like a diamond in the eye, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Little bunny boo-boo hopping through the forest, scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head. Then the good fairy came down and said, little bunny boo-boo, I don't want to see you scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head. I'll give you 3 chances. Then I'll turn you into a goon. The next day, little bunny boo-boo hopping through the forest, scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head. Then the good fairy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to teacher. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
have to excuse me, I just ate, but thank you.
So, are you doing anything for your birthday? Maybe going to the cinema? There's that new one, Olympia. It's a documentary, and with you being a teacher and all, I figured you like documentaries.
Normally I would, but I'm afraid I don't have the time. Fortunately, there's enough work here to last me the year.
What are those?
Essays. Essays I foolishly assigned.
What are they on?
The colonial question.
I don't follow.
The exact prompt was, why do we need colonies? I'm sure their thoughts will be thrilling and revolutionary.
You shouldn't be so mean to them. Where are their names? These are all just marked with letters.
Simpler that way. Just give them each a letter based on their last name. Less writing out. And to be honest, it helps me keep my distance from them, little devils.
Oh, stop that. There's no need to be so cruel. They're only children. You were a child once, and you should be grateful that you're here and happy today. You have no idea what they might be going through.
You're right. I owe a lot of my current position to my parents, to my teachers, to dozens of others. But if you went into that school every day just as I do and saw what they did to each other, you would start to become cruel yourself. Just last week, I was walking to my classroom when on the stairwell I saw 5 of my students laying into a 6th. And I immediately ran over and broke them up. I figured F, the 6th boy, the one on the ground, had committed some cruel act against the others, and this was their tribal justice. But no. No, in fact, the other 5 had stolen F's bread roll just to see what he would do without it. They'd thrown it out a window, and then they started punching him just because they could. I told them they should be ashamed fighting in such unfair numbers over nothing at all, but it didn't faze them in the slightest. They just walked off, all 6 of them, without looking back. If you could see this generation, if you lived with them day after day, you would know that these are hard, brutal children, and their legacy will follow suit. And as for my parents' well wishes in this letter, the health and good luck I'll take gladly, but happiness? I feel I've missed out on happiness. I am not a happy man. And their persistence trying to rein me back into the glory of God's fold is tiresome and only likely to get them in trouble someday.
They're only 14. There's time enough still for them to learn, which they'll never do if you give up on them. Work hard and make them the kind of men that will make their parents proud. And happiness. Happiness we must find in the small corners of our own soul. There are many who are already in trouble on God's behalf. Other tenants are coming home bruises, bloody and broken, and are becoming unable to pay their rent. You have no idea the beliefs those you're talking to these days. I hope that you teach these boys to help their fellow countrymen in need.
From the excellent mind of student B, we need colonies because we need numerous raw materials. Without raw materials, we cannot keep our home industries working at high pressure. This would have disastrous consequences. Our workmen here at home would once more be without work. The whole of the nation is involved, and the workers are part of the whole. while whatever points may be awarded for truth are immediately dismissed for unoriginality. But I'm a state employee, and it's not my place. It does me no good to criticize his work. I mean, he is right after all. This is what we've learned and are told. Full marks. Shall I read another?
Please stop. Please.
What absolute rubbish.
Am I correct in assuming that it is a rubbish answer? Because the exact phrase has been on the radio all week, in the markets, in the restaurants. And your student has taken the Fuhrer's brilliant thought and proposed it as his own.
Quite right. What have these children come to, not learning to properly attribute the wisdom of the Führer? I will have to have a word with him tomorrow about it.
Thank you for the company, and happy birthday.
Thank you for the cake. And, I promise I won't give up on happiness. I'll keep looking. What troubling times we are in for. Silence is golden these days. outside your door? Ah, you must be...
The father of a young boy whose mind you assaulted with your disgusting humanitarianism.
Your son!
There's a formal complaint being lodged against you in regards to a comment you made in your geography class. So please, tell me what happened.
All that took place was a misunderstanding. If we could talk
Tell
privately...
him! Tell him what you said to my boy.
I simply reprimanded him for an egregious and unoriginal comment.
You dare call the Fuhrer egregious and unoriginal? You should feel honored that my son would use those very words in your presence. If this kind of scum can sneak into his school, then I fear what is next for the fatherland. I despise anyone who sympathizes with degenerates.
Do you think the Bible is false then, when it says that all men are human?
The Bible is not meant to be taken literal. It must be taken figuratively, or not at all. There were no colonies when it was written, so it cannot speak on the colonial question, and furthermore...
Enough. I have sufficient facts from which to reach a decision. However, since we are both in the state's employ, I must ask that you leave so that this stays for the immediate time within the state's discretion. Can you agree to this?
Trust me, sir. If you were not fired on the spot today, we will meet again at Philippi. Come on, son, we're leaving. What is it?
Sir, I do believe it is my Philippi.
We do not wish to be taught by you, for after what has occurred, we the undersigned have lost our confidence in you, and would prefer another teacher. This is almost the entire class. I must have gone and gotten the signatures while we were talking. Don't look at me in such a pathetic way. I'm not going to fire you. Sit down. We need to have a talk. Tomorrow, I will come into your class and give your students a firm talking to. Scare them a little, and they'll come around. At least enough to curb this little mutiny of theirs somewhat.
Look,
Look, I know what you were trying to do, so there's no use trying to explain. I am willing to cover for you in this instance, but you have to promise me this will never happen again. Do you remember the private memorandum that went around? Number 5679, paragraph 33. We must keep all youths away from all topics, subjects, and considerations which do not prepare them for war and to be able warriors. So this is what we must do. Here you sit, thinking, where has the peace lover gone? When did pacifism get traded in for slaughter in this mind before me?
you're only saying this because you're forced to.
No,
No.
enough. If nothing else, understand this. There is no force, there is no compulsion. Could I fight against the spirit of the times and be thrown in jail? Could I resign this position in protest? Of course. But I won't. I'm going to reach the age limit and draw my full pension. You think I'm a cynic? I am no such thing. I survived the Great War and the collapse of this country. All of you who are aspiring for better things for mankind, you've forgotten the world we live in. When you get to be my age, you will have a much clearer sense of reality. This world of ours, it's a plebeian world. Think of Rome, 287 BC, patricians and plebeians fighting and struggling, but the plebs still in control of the highest state offices.
Can you name a single poor plebeian who holds the reins of power today? The only power of this time is gold.
You may be a historian, but you seem to be losing your grasp on the subject. You've forgotten there were rich plebeians too.
Yes, the ones who deserted the people, and with the decadent patricians built up the highest nobility of office, the optimates.
Do not forget what I have done for you today. You are still my friend and my colleague. Please, do not do anything to make me forget that. And keep your head down.
I shall. Bring me down, all of them. I hope the Africans burn them alive.
And what utter nonsense are you going on about right now? You've had more than enough. Now, look at me. Look at me. There we go. Now, tell me what's going on, but keep your voice down.
It's my students. They're terrible. All they want to do is draw blood and laugh when it leaves a stain. They don't care for thinking, for being human. They just want to sacrifice themselves for a cause that means nothing. Whatever benefits our race is right. It's all I hear on the radio, all day. Does this mean that murder, arson, theft, are all these right?
You've had too much to drink, and I'm going to take you home and clean you up. This is not the time nor place to speak of such things. You don't know who might be listening.
Okay, I know, but first hear me out on something. Okay. What if we invented a weapon that could undo any other weapon, an anti-weapon? Then there would be no more need for war to further ourselves or maintain peace. We'd all be toothless and happy and be forced to sit and think and talk about the world. But instead, We bludgeon each other and march to and fro and take what we want. Well, what if we just killed everyone? But no. No slow death for mankind. A long, involved one. Torture for the entirety of humanity. I'd like to see that.
And what's gotten you in such a mood?
One of my students wrote in an essay, "We must colonize Africa to save it. In my opinion, Negroes are dirty, cunning, and contemptible. They are not worthy of the ground on which they stand." Then in class, I told him, "You should in fact care whether the Africans live or die. We may be more advanced than them, but they're people too."
Look, he needs to shut up or get out. This is a patriotic bar with no room for liberals and traitors.
My apologies. I've had far too much. For the fatherland, Heil Hitler!
Heil Hitler! Can we get 2 waters, please? You really have to be more careful. You're always going around preaching your ideals when we were younger. And it's going to get you into a lot of trouble someday.
Don't worry, it already has.
What a world we live in today, isn't it?
After the lunch hour ended today, I learned that one of my students, W, who's been mortally sick all month, died last night. The principal came into the class and held a sort of service for everyone. And the whole time, all of them were just watching me, writing down everything I said, waiting for me to trip up. And T just grinned this evil little smile, didn't blink once for the entirety of the service, it seemed.
It's the age of the fish, my friend.
What?
The age of the fish. Cold times are coming, and soon the souls of man will become as rigid as the face of a fish.
Where on earth is this coming from?
There's this woman who lives across the street from me. And her son, he's very strange in this day and age because he reads everything. And there's this one book that he reads in secret. It's nothing erotic, it's nihilistic. It's a forbidden book, actually, called The Worth of Human Life. He and a group of his friends, they come over and read the book, but they condemn it. They read it with scorn and mock it. Now imagine that, a group of boys who read forbidden books just to tear them apart. That doesn't strike you as cold? It used to be that men did their crimes in secret. They hid them, and they were ashamed of them, but now there's a pride in our crimes. It's a pestilence. I mean, okay, like, what do I know, right? I just sell wares from door to door. But maybe war will bring Germany glory for 10,000 years. Who knows?
To Germany.
To the future. May it be ever bright.
now we've been doing the Easter Sunday exercises. And this is by far the prettiest place we've been done.
Thank you. 2,000 feet above sea level, that's nothing to scoff at. Well, you can see over there our factory, the greatest sawmill in the district. It had to close down last year. Too few profits. We're still trying to sort out all the unemployed. It's very distressing. The mill was owned by a large combine before it closed, and the shareholders had the final say in whether it stayed open or shut down. We haven't got much left anymore. Your boys look fit and healthy. In this town, 1 child in 3 is undernourished. Wars require metal and men, not wood. A shame we could not go back with you when you leave. But enough of all that. I should let you and the boys get set up. Our priest wasn't able to come out and say hello, but he did want to pass along 2 messages. The first was to invite you to visit and have a drink of wine with him. Drew you a map from the campsite in case you should get lost. Just don't mention it to anyone else. All right?
Why?
I'm sure you'll find out soon enough. Second, there's a group of young girls, about the age of your boys, staying in a nearby castle doing drills of their own. We'd very much appreciate it if you could keep an eye out and make sure no one gets hurt. These are dark times, after all.
I'll be sure to keep an eye. Shall we get started then? You must be our host for the week.
Quite right. Are those your boys coming then?
Yes, sir.
No need for the formalities. You and I are equals during this little adventure. They don't look like fine military men, but I suppose that's our job. Cheer up. We're going to have a splendid time. Lots of marches, rifle practice, campfires and military songs. The new age of Germany is fresh upon us. Before we begin there, I was told that you would have a topographical map of the area for me. I have drills planned today that will require hills steeper than these.
I'm afraid you won't find anything too steep in this area.
Nonsense. I'm sure I'll find exactly what I need, thank you.
I suppose if there's nothing else?
You've done more than enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
No time for rest, recruits. When war comes, it won't wait for you to be well nourished or rested. You must be men of action, ready to move at a second's notice. Get up, get into a line, and we're going out sprinting. Not feeling so well, are you? Well, don't worry. I'll take the boys and we'll clear out so you can get some rest. We need you to be in fighting spirits tomorrow when the real work starts.
That would be wonderful. Thank you for understanding.
Of course. Even in war there is comradeship. In fact, wars cannot be won without it. As for the rest of you, we march.
Underneath the lantern, by the barricade, must be the young women I've heard about. You don't happen to be staying in a castle, do you?
Yes, that's us. What have you heard about us?
Nothing much, just that I should keep a close eye on my boys. They can be an aggressive lot, and wouldn't want you getting hurt or caught in the middle of anything. Although I must say, you all look quite rough already.
Look, we don't go in for frills and tinsel. We don't theorize or spend all day lost in our imaginations. We like to get something done. We're Amazons. Your boys would be lucky to scrap with any of these young women someday.
Well, I think your girls would be lucky if they kept themselves to be honest, safe, and in their homes.
We will serve the Reich in the open or behind closed doors. None of us is above scrutiny. However, I would appreciate it if you kept to yourself. Sir, these girls are in no need of such a saddening influence.
Well, I shouldn't keep you ladies from whatever it is you're doing.
We're looking for the lost airman.
I haven't heard of any plane crashes.
Not an actual plane. It's a training exercise. Somewhere out in the woods is a big white box with an X painted on it. That's the lost airman. When war comes, should a plane find itself down in German territory, these young women are going to be well equipped to find it.
And what if a plane should go down in enemy territory?
Well, let us hope that doesn't happen. Women aren't allowed at the front.
But aren't you glad to be able to stay away from all the violence and death?
And live like cowards, hiding from the calling of the Reich? Like I said, we're Amazons. We will fight in whatever way the Fuhrer asks of us. There is not a single girl here who wouldn't feel blessed to be allowed to pick up a rifle and charge to the front with one of your boys. Line up! Closer, tighter! Good. 1, 2, 1, 2, knees high, stance wide. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
March on, mothers of the future!
You must be the teacher of the young boys over on the hill. I'm glad you got my note and that you made it here in one piece. When I was a young boy, I was adopted by a German missionary serving in Africa. The people here, they know me, and they work to keep me out of view of unfavorable eyes. Can I trust you to keep this secret too?
Yes, of course, but why invite me over before I gave you my word?
Even out here we hear things. The mayor talked to the school before your arrival and learned of an interesting argument you had with the student. It seemed to suggest a certain sense of trustworthiness to me, and I hope you live up to it. It's foolish to think that your affairs are private or contained anymore, but nonetheless, let's just talk a while.
Those children.
In the windows.
What's wrong with them?
This is where the peace workers live. These children, they must save on light, so they sit in the windows all day long. Their fathers have no more jobs, so they eat very little save from the dust in the air. children, they do not come to Mass anymore. They've all but abandoned the church. They've affected you, haven't they? The children in the windows. The teacher in our little town is similarly affected. He visits me once a weekend. We talk, he and I. You can talk to me too. I am not such a priest who turn a deaf ear. I follow St. Ignatius. I follow a man through his door and lead him out by mine. Well, the distress lies in the fact that the sawmill lies idle. Our teacher believes that the rate of advancement has accelerated too quickly. That we need new means of production, even new systems of property ownership. But I say to him, the way the world exists was willed by God to be that way, and we must craft our own salvation out of what he has provided. We'd both love to see something made out of this town, but I think we both have disagreements on methodology.
May I say something? Something rather...
Of course, go ahead.
I think the church always sides with the rich.
Of course, the church must.
Must?
Surely you've seen this throughout the world and across history.
Well, yes, I've seen the church side with the rich countless times, but I always saw it as an abandonment of godly virtue, as singular choices by corrupt men. You're telling me that there's an imperative to all of this?
The rich rule all across the world. Now, I don't just mean those who have money. There will always be values, and there will always be a few people with their hands on more of them than others. There will always be rich and poor, just as there will always be clever and foolish. And the church cannot direct how the state should be run, but can only be on the side of the state, no matter how it is run. And unfortunately, the church must always be on the side of the state.
And this is all the church does?
Well, man is a social creature, and he must be assigned to a community or state. And the state is a man-made institution. Its only goal is to create the greatest happiness for our temporal existence on earth. It is a necessity of nature and willed by God.
And do you think the state we occupy today is producing the greatest happiness for all?
Of course not. Humanity relies on egoism, brute force, and invasion. However, the state must exist to give the impression of making these things soften or disappear.
The church does nothing for the poor, working only for the rich.
We fight for the poor on another front.
A secret, magical front, perhaps.
A front where a man may fall to a man named Jesus Christ. The church must work for the rich, but the poor have Jesus' love, forgiveness, and his promise of salvation.
So the poor must wait and have their hope and happiness deferred? Those children out there, they have nothing to eat. And here you sit saying that all you have to offer their empty stomachs is a man who died 2,000 years ago.
Now I've tried to practice this faith joyfully and peacefully, but every day the villagers grow more and more tired of hiding me from the right. Each day I do not bring with me a miracle. I come closer to my death, but you do not understand that I cannot bring with me miracles because they have lost their faith in God.
How can you ask them to have faith when God does nothing for them.
They must. God goes through every street. God is truth.
If God goes through every street, how can he do nothing?
Because God is the most terrible thing in the world. God punishes. God brings a little boy away from his home to a country that hates him for his skin and language. God watches, and he says nothing. But as we do not understand, we cannot forget about God. I must not forget, as I have nothing left. The rest was stripped away decades ago.
I can't believe. Not after the war. I cannot believe in a God that would allow such horror. I mean, I teach history. I know of joy and happiness.
As a man of history, tell me, who's the first Greek philosopher?
Thales of Miletus.
Yes, although he seems more mythical figure than factual man, all we have is but one sentence of him. From which things arise must they go back to in the end. Through pain and penance must they make good due their debt for their existence here on earth, according to the universal law. Even the philosophers know the truth. Life is misery, and it is God who doles out each person's share. God is watching. We cannot forget about God. He will watch us march to war, just as he will watch the children in the windows wither away. God will watch his truth, the necessities of nature. God will watch you, a man who believes himself a hero in a time of darkness. But tell me, what will God do for you? What will God do for either of us? Seems more likely that I will have died, but have left like a single scratch on this earth, my body full of scars. I cannot force you to believe, nor do I want your pity, but I hope something that I've said today will strike you. God is coming, and when he does, I hope you will be ready. This wine, this blood, has saved thousands throughout the world. I hope it will one day save you. Now it is getting late. I need to prepare for tomorrow's sermon, but you're welcome to sit longer if you like. Good night.